Okay, here's just a little mini video about one of the exercises we may do tonight. So let's just imagine, picture this. You live as part of a connected group of humans. Maybe it's a tribe or a little, community, and you share your lives with these people. And the night before in the community, some large predator went right through where you all live, where your houses are, right through there. And almost everybody saw maybe it was a tiger or a lion or a bear, depending on where you live. And whoa, people were shook, right? I mean, that doesn't happen that often. And there were some people playing outside when it happened, and it was an experience. It went by quickly, but it's the next morning. And in this community, there's a common culture of, especially if something's happened that's caused a lot of visceral feelings in your body, right? Maybe sadness, maybe anger, maybe fear, maybe excitement, maybe joy, whatever they are, y'all get together with this group of people who you live and share life with. And the first thing you do is you let it out. Like, let it out from your body, let it out with your voice. And then afterwards, you might do some planning. Oh, we need to do this to make things safer, or we should do that. But first thing, excuse me, it's allowing your body to speak, allowing your animal body out. So tonight, if you join us, and using the example of this major political figure who's starting to get traction, denying climate change, being part of a party who has already said if they're elected into power next year, they're going to scrap every climate change initiative there is, right? And we know what's going on in the world. Just today, where I live in Oregon, the skies are about to get smoky again and make us cough because of all the wildfires. There's a 31,000 acre wildfire less than an hour away. There's a 14,000 acre wildfire less than an hour away. And there's no, they're not going to be put out soon. They're just going to get bigger, and they have been getting bigger. So again, the everyday horror, the horror of what's happening, but also the horror of a culture that just refuses to face into what's happening. All right. So we'll practice with that tonight, this specific example. And there may be a lot of things we're feeling, right? Sadness, anger, overwhelm, the sense that I might just numb out to all this, right? So we'll pick a couple of the experiences that we guess our body's having, and we'll practice with allowing them to be expressed. So maybe we'll start with sadness. All right, so let's just play with that just for a minute. And a couple things to be real mindful of as we do that. The first thing is we will do it in a way where we're keeping ourselves safe. So I'm going to take responsibility. Now, I'm not very practiced at, let's say I'm not real practiced at expressing sadness. And I have some fears that if I start to let my sadness out, especially about this huge subject area, that it might start and get bigger and bigger, and I'm not going to be able to control it. That might be a fear I have. So I'm going to be really clear with myself. If it starts to feel bigger in a way that's scary for me, that's ungrounding, I'm going to dial it back, right? I might stop doing it altogether, or I might just do it, more and more small until I'm not feeling anxiety or panic around that. So that's the first thing, is let's regulate ourselves to stay safe. And if you can jump right into it in a really strong, big way, and you feel comfortable with expressing your sadness and however you express it, then go for it. That's completely encouraged. But I also want to be mindful that we all have different experiences with all the different expressions of emotion. And some are easier for us and some are harder for us. So just take care of yourself. All right. So for the actual exercise, so the exercise will be turning into the sadness we have specifically around this presidential candidate denying climate change. And then we can connect things to that, like the entire Republican Party basically denying climate change, or the friends and family we have, they might not deny it, but they're not that interested in really looking into it. Whatever might come up, but just allow it to come up, kind of allow it to be present in your mind. And then as we begin to invite, let's say, the self in us that feels sadness, that feels grief around this, um, it's a good idea. Again, you might be able to jump into it really strongly, really quickly, but collectively, we're going to start real gentle and real small, right? So we're going to just invite the sadness, the grief that we feel in ways that are real gentle and real small. For me, it might look like something like, just noticing my body, and is there any part of my body that starts to respond to the sadness and grief I feel around this situation, right? And then I can just sit real quiet, just real gentle. Is there anything that I notice? You may not notice anything, and that's okay too. The gentler and the more sort of patient with myself I am, the better. And then I might start to notice on my chest, my breathing starts to change just a little bit when I invite the sadness, my sad self around this candidate being said he did the best last night and he's a total climate change denier and all that. And what is that? It's like, oh, I breathe into it. Giving breath is always a really good idea. And I breathe into it and I notice a little, right? A little, like almost the beginning of a crying motion, right? And in my chest, there's a feeling of like heaviness, of fullness. And I can just stop right there and just notice that, right? Oh, ouch, right there. Now there's a little ouch, this hurts, ah. And I could just stay there, ow, this hurts, that such powerful people still deny climate change when it's happening all around me in every country in the world and getting worse. Ow, right? And then I can just say ow and let that ow out. Just ow. And just stay right there with it for about 3 minutes. We'll do this for just a few minutes. Or it might get bigger, right? It might be like, ah. And that's okay. And I'm monitoring myself. Like, okay, this still feels safe enough, and I'm going to keep going with that. All right. So that's an example. We'll do it a little more efficiently, but we're just going to practice. This will be the first time whoever shows up practices together. And then afterwards, we can talk about the possibilities of longer term practice, right? Because this is practice. We're building muscle memory. It's not all or nothing. And we're doing it together. We're doing it together. That may be the most important thing. We will begin to show up with what might eventually become a tribe of sorts, where we practice allowing our animal body to respond to what's happening in the world in which we live.